Welcome to Find the Connection, the podcast where we explore the history, development, events, and stories that make Northeast Florida so inviting. I'm your host, Kendra Robertson, a real estate professional, community leader, wellness ambassador, and proud resident of Jacksonville Beach for over 30 years. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories of the people that are making a difference, both at a local level and nationally. We'll share an inside look at real estate with tips for maintaining work-life balance, from winning your mornings to winning your day, all while staying connected with our vibrant local community. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's find the connection between community and living your best life. So today I am talking with Patsy Bishop, who is the director of the Dancin in the Streets that she has been involved with for 40 years. She is also the owner of Shorelines Gift Shop, which is right on First Street next to Pete's Bar. And she has been selling cheap and cheerful gifts for 40 years. So I really wanted to first let me welcome you, Patsy. I know you're not on camera, but obviously we are having a conversation. Thank you for joining me today.
Okay, I'm here.
I really want to talk about Dance in the Streets, just the history of it, but I also want to talk about Beaches Town Center because you've been on that corner for 40 years as well and seeing a lot of things come and go and just the development of it. So first, I will ask you just why Dance in the Streets started.
Well, it got started because a lady that had a store down the street, Catherine, and it was called Rumor Had Us, had gone to Miami and gone and seen a street festival. And she came back and described it with the bands and the food booths and the drinking, the beer. And we said to ourselves, our little group of merchants, that we could do that. So it started very, very small and then just expanded over the years. And it's changing and expanding right now.
Yes, constantly evolving. So who were the key people in the beginning then in getting this going?
I worked on it. My sister Marcia Holton, Wally Fay, Shelby Hicks from Crabapple Tree, Catherine, and I have no idea what her last name is. She had Rumor Had It. Jay Lubeck was involved. I think his band played the first year and they played their set twice because they only knew 4 songs. And their band was called Not Tonight I Got the Blues.
I had no idea.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. That was played 1984 or 5. I'm not sure which.
So I've been involved, I guess, I don't know, 30 some years. But in the beginning, you guys always midday made a toast to Brenda. Who was Brenda?
Brenda was the woman that worked for our friend Lyman Fletcher, and she was somehow initiated to be the original director. And she was the one that started this with us and helped us guide us through it. And then she passed away unexpectedly a week after Dancing in the Street in 2001.
Wow.
And that was a big loss. And so yeah, we would stop and have a Brenda toast.
Okay. And Jimmy, we had Jimmyville. The Orange Street stage was always Jimmyville. How did he get involved?
Jimmy was a very involved guy from Neptune Beach. He played bands. He played at Sundog quite a bit, and he got involved in the music end of it. And we just let him run with it. He was booking the bands and getting the gear together and making all the music stuff happen. And he ran the music, 10, 12 years. And then he sadly passed away. And it was one of those things. He was watching his Kentucky Wildcats play the Gators in basketball, and it just did him in. But his son Ian has stepped into that role, and now Ian is running all 3 stages and booking all our bands and has done an exceptional job. His father would be so proud of him. But yeah, we miss Jimmy.
So I should have mentioned his last name, Jimmy Gilbert. What was his band? I forget the name of his band.
I can't think of
Are
it.
you blanking too?
Yeah, totally blanking.
Okay.
So I'll think
Um,
of it later.
well, so when Ian came on board, that was kind of around the same time that your daughter not just helped the day of, but became part of the committee in the effort of all of us that are getting older and a little harder physically. So it became a new generation, right? Like it's been what, 5 years? How long has that changeover been happening?
It's probably been the last 5 or 6 years, and we just have the second generation coming in and picking up the pieces and making changes and trying new things. So I think it's great because they see things differently. I mean, they're going to more festivals than I go to. I don't know what's going on out there.
Right.
So it's great to have all these kids that grew up going to the festival, just like your kids grew up going, and they're
Yeah,
taking more of a role.
I say, they when I was doing the kids zone, they played in the kids zone and then they got old enough to volunteer and then they got old enough to drink. So yeah, Dance in the Streets, I feel like is always such a reunion of sorts, especially for the college kids coming home for the summer, you know. It's always fun to see everybody that day. It's almost like kicking off the summer, right?
Well, and it is real local. I mean, we're not out there to advertise across town or anything. We're just trying to bring our local community together to have a good day between the music and the food booths and the arts and crafts. The arts now are just incredible. We've got so many. So it's, yeah, it's supposed to just be a good little beach family reunion.
Yeah, so there's some artists that have been doing it for quite a while too, right? I mean, some of the
As
same
far as
artists.
I know, some that have been there 25 years or so.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I took over the kids zone, it was around the time that Duval County was making a lot of cuts on budget. So in efforts, it's always hardest to find the volunteers. So in efforts of trying to get a good kid zone, I actually found groups and teams, cheerleading teams, swim teams, all the things, and gave them a portion of the proceeds in order for it to be a successful event. So it wasn't always the Kids Zone was not necessarily a fundraiser where Dance in the Streets is a fundraiser for the Beaches Town Center agency, which you've been on the board for how many years?
Too many. Um, Um, I probably didn't get on the board until the late 90s.
Okay.
But yeah, the money that we raise goes back into things that people don't think about, like banners and benches and Christmas lights. Spend a lot of money on Christmas lights.
Yeah, we have spent a lot of money on Christmas lights, but we also have partnered with the businesses, which of course you have a business in Beaches Town Center. I know for years a lot of the businesses wanted directional signage, and the agency actually paid to have a survey done as to, what the best route to go, and that's where we came up with the wayfinding signs, which is kind of like a mall directory of sorts. And even like the parking study, we paid to have that done. And one of the first things we implemented was getting the employees off the grid. Uh, so yeah, so I think a lot of people don't realize what the agency funds in that central business district. Um, so the nonprofit itself started in 1991, and that was the first uh, I don't know, version of re-landscaping and adding all the red brick and the engraved bricks, which tell me about being in charge of the bricks in the beginning, the engraved brick program.
Well, I think that the vision that the original committee had was to make it a little small town, low lighted walking area. And they thought they were going to pay for it by selling the engraved bricks. And it turns out that they were selling them for $25 a brick, and they were paying 18 a brick. So they really didn't make much. But what happened is that Mayor Delaney came through with some good money that helped them make it to the next level. But yeah, we've been selling the bricks for all these years, and now it's up to, I think, 150 a brick, and
Yeah.
we really are running out of space, which is
I
good
mean,
and bad.
right. I mean, we are, there's certain areas that are closed off, but there's still a lot of areas to be filled, just on the outskirts per se.
But we've sold the bricks for all occasions, from birthdays and graduations and weddings, and several proposals over the years. So
Yes,
it's been a good little fundraiser, and people like to go by and look at their brick all the time,
it is
which
the
is,
perfect gift for someone who has everything too, for sure.
I've used it more than once for a wedding gift.
Your daughter uses it quite a bit for gifts for her friends, for sure.
Okay, all right. Well, that's good. I trained her good, so.
Well, and I think Summer Morris, who is on our board, who's a graphic designer, she had created a gift certificate that we can print, or, when someone orders it, because a lot of people don't realize we're waiting for 30 orders to come in before we actually send a batch. So it can sometimes be 6 months before a brick is installed. So having that gift certificate that you can print and present as a gift has worked, for people wanting the immediate presentation, I guess.
Yeah. But
Um,
we've been able to do it 3 and 4 times a year the last couple years, so I think that's a reasonable expectation of time. So, but no,
well,
Beaches Town Center has changed a lot. It started out and everybody was on their own, but more and more we've all come together to be a cohesive group and work together, and it's good. I mean, change is hard, like just losing ragtime. Everybody's still complaining about that, but maybe if they'd gone there more, they wouldn't have lost it.
right, right.
So you got to be
Yeah.
realistic.
Well, and the merchants in the beginning were their own entity for many years until they weren't actually a legal entity, and that's when they became more of a committee within the agency. But in the agency goals, the nonprofit goals, one of the things that we had come up with, I think it's been a couple of years that we kind of brainstormed this, was, for fundraising events or things that we host or do, there, Dance on the Streets is huge. It's an all-day festival. It definitely impacts the businesses the day of. So looking at fundraisers that don't impact the central business district, like the Golf Classic or the Tour of Homes, but looking at the three different elements: the businesses themselves, the community, and the nonprofit, and making sure whatever we're doing is working, for the betterment of those three parties, in addition to just being a voice for the city. Um,
No,
so,
absolutely, we've got to work together. It's what makes us stronger. So
but yeah, so I remember when one of the board members wanted to do the holiday lighting, and she said, well, I'll raise funds for it. And we created an event at One Ocean, and that kind of kicked off the holiday lighting. But that has become one of our biggest expenses, in the sense of, constantly fundraising. And then I remember also, I think when Emily Christensen, who owns Jaffe's, when she was, I think, president of the merchants, she did like a survey and kind of asked the community, what do you want? And one of the things was, family oriented free events. And that's kind of where the fall festival came out of, that we do every October. And then of course, we've done the tree lighting every year, which is a free event. Do you remember, like, I don't know that there's, I guess with Deck the Chairs kind of becoming the big Jack's Beach holiday thing. It used to be Neptune Beach at Jarboe Park on Friday, Atlantic
Still
Beach,
is.
and still is. And then Saturday night in Beaches Town Center, and then Sunday night in Jack's Beach. So the city of Atlantic Beach has been a big part of our tree lighting and holiday celebration every year.
Well, before they got involved with us, the city of Atlantic Beach, they were having a Christmas tree lighting at the Jack Russell Park where the baseball fields were. And it wasn't as accommodating as our area. So that was one of the reasons the transition worked out. And at the time, Timmy Johnson was with the city, and he was just a good collaborator with the Beaches Town Center.
Very much so. Yes.
So, but yeah, it's all good down here.
So what other things have changed in the 40 years that you've had Shorelines?
Well, we've got all the same kind of sidewalks and curbs. It used to be sometimes 3 layers of sidewalk and just a mess. And it's like by my store, there used to be a little street called Lime Place, and now it's just a sidewalk. But I used to have 2 fire hydrants there, and of course, neither one of them worked. Mm-hmm. But they were right there by the store. But they've just been able to fix everything up and take it to the next level. And both cities are cooperating and doing the landscaping the right way and all those things.
Yeah, so Bruce Andrews, that's on our board right now, that is in charge of the landscaping and coordinating with the cities. You know, it's attention to detail that I think people don't realize, because when he was working with the cities to change the mulch in the beds, it sounded so minor, but then when you looked at the new mulch versus the old, you're like, wow, what an upgrade, you know? And he's even started to add like annual flowers, you know, on certain sections, which really gives it a resort look, I think.
Yeah, it's a good fresh look.
Yeah, we've redone the landscaping several times. I guess it's just a constant. But yeah, like working with the cities on managing the contracts, you know, and managing the companies that are supposed to be doing all this physically, that's been a challenge too. Yeah, I remember Amy Roberts, when she was on the board, brought in the turtle and the jaguar, the 2 pieces that have become kind of a fun picture thing.
Well, they were for that Washington Foundation, I think, and we bought
Was it Otis Smith? What was that? I can't remember.
Otis Smith. I thought it was Malcolm Washington, one of those guys. I don't know.
I'll have to get Amy on here.
But it was a good fundraiser, and lots of people take the time to go take their picture or let their kid crawl on it. So it's obviously a positive in the neighborhood.
Well, and we just last year revamped and renovated the Jaguar to get it where it was getting a little faded and worn and not as kid friendly. So yeah, just kind of maintaining some of that. All right, what am I forgetting? What is there anything about Beaches Town Center that the story needs to be told?
No, I can't think of anything, but I do think it's a great place to go to work every day, and I'm really lucky to be there and have, you know, still City Hall across the street. That's very unusual. But no, it's a very cohesive group of business owners, and we're all doing well.
And Shorelines is doing well.
Shorelines is doing well. So
you're on top of what's trendy every season, right?
Squish is trendy this month.
Which is what?
Squishy things. So squishy dolphins, squishy sharks. I got squishy flamingos.
That's
So,
funny.
all
All
right.
right.
Well, this has been fun.
Anything else about Dancing the Streets before we go?
No, but y'all come out. We've got 3 stages and lots of music on each one of them. We got all kind of libations. We've got about 45 or 50 artists and the food trucks and the kids zone. It's all good. Come on out for the day.
Well, thank you, Patsy, for taking the time to talk with me.
Okay.
And thank
Thank
you
you.
for all that you do for Beaches Town Center and continue to do.
Well, I appreciate your care.
All
All
right.
right. So bye-bye.
Thanks, Patsy.
Thanks for listening to Find the Connection. I hope today's episode gave you some helpful insights and inspired you to get involved in your community. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find us. And if you're interested in making a move or learning more about Northeast Florida, reach out to me anytime. Let's keep finding the connection together. Until next time, stay connected and keep thriving.